Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay. We need to move on. I would like to quote a writer, and this writer is Ken Blanchard. I quote, he said, "Greatest leaders mobilize others by coalescing people around a shared vision," unquote. President Nujoma mobilized and united Namibians in country and in the diaspora under the banner of SWAPO, with only one resolute goal: to free Namibia and Namibians from the injustices of colonialism. I think it is befitting at this juncture for me to invite our second president, His Excellency President Dr. Hifikepunye Pohamba, to deliver his tribute. Your Excellency.
Thank you, Director of Ceremonies. Unlike my colleagues who have spoken before me, I speak on a standing position because I cannot Director of Ceremonies, Your Excellency, Dr. Nangolo Mbumba, President of the Republic of Namibia, Madam Mbumba, the First Lady, Your Excellency, Dr. Netumbo Ndaitwa, Vice President of SWAPO Party, and the President-elect, and Lieutenant General Retired Epaphras Denga Ndaitwa. Neme Kovambo Nujoma, founding First Lady of the Republic of Namibia and the widow of late Dr. Semsafi Shuna Nujoma. Comrade Deuton Nujoma and the siblings, Your Excellencies, heads of state and government, Your Excellencies, former heads of state and governments, distinguished heads of delegation, and fellow mourners. Allow me to stand on the established protocol. Dear mourners, on Saturday the 8th, February 2025, our nation received the devastating news of the passing of our leader, the leader of the revolution, our founding president and father of the Namibian nation, Dr. Semsafi Shuna Nujoma. Today is with immense pain that I join you in paying our last respect, while at the same time celebrating the legacy of a great man, a visionary leader, a commander-in-chief of plan, a man who commanded the brave sons and daughters of Namibia through the jungles of Africa, crossing many rivers of blood in the pursuit of freedom and independence of their motherland. The struggle for freedom and independence was not easy. There were many obstacles along the way. But Comrade Semsafi Shuna Nujoma kept on going. He commanded and motivated freedom fighters, built and prepared a team of cadres through education and training to be ready to take over the administration of affairs of the motherland as the victory was certain. Our struggle needed someone with Nujoma's caliber to keep us together until victory was achieved against all odds. Comrade Semsa Fisuna Nujoma held the movement together, and indeed, history was achieved. Namibia is finally free. As part of the leadership of SWAPO, I was privileged to work closely with Comrade Semsa Fisuna Nujoma for many years. If my calculation is correct, I worked under the directive and the commandership of Sem Nujoma for 63 years. Both in exile and after independence. I first met Comrade Nujoma in Dar es Salaam, then Tanganyika, in 1961. His political career was shaped by his work experience, his awareness of the dehumanizing contract system, that is the labor system, under Southwest Africa Native Association, SWANLA, and his knowledge of the increased campaigns for independence across the continent of Africa. Ghana was one of the first African countries to gain independence from the British colonialism. Due to his participation in these activities, Comrade Nujoma was dismissed from South African Railway in 1967. In the same year, a group of Namibians working in Cape Town, led by Andimba Toivoya Toivo, formed the Obamboland People's Congress, OPC. OPC was opposing South Africa's policies in Southwest Africa, including the inhuman contract labor system under which people were forced to work for up to 2 years for small money, very little money, or wages. In 1959, Comrade Semsafisuna Nujoma joined the OPC, which was later transformed into Obamboland People's Organization, OPO. Together with Comrade Jacob Kuhangwa, co-founder of OPO, they established the Windhoek branches of the organization at the then old location in Windhoek. At its first Congress in 1959, Comrade Semsafisuna Nujoma was elected president of OPO. Dear mourners, during the following year, Comrade Nujoma traveled to other African towns. He went there secretly, mobilizing and setting up branches structures of OPO. After the old location massacre in Windhoek in December 1959, Sem Nujoma was arrested and charged for organizing the protest and faced threats of deportation to his native areas in the northern part of the country. Comrade Nujoma was then released after 1 week in custody. Following a directive by OPO leadership, in collaboration with the Chief Hosea Kutako, it was decided that Comrade Nujoma should leave. He should leave the country and join other Namibians in exile who were lobbying the United Nations on behalf of anti-colonial cause for Namibia. Comrade Semsafisuna Nujoma went into exile on the 29th of February 1960, passing through Bechuanaland, now Botswana, from where he traveled to Bulawayo in southern Rhodesia, by train. From Bulawayo, he traveled to Salisbury, now Harare, and then traveled to Ndole in northern Rhodesia, now Zambia, with the assistance of members of UNIP in northern Rhodesia. He crossed into Tanganyika, now Tanzania. In April 1960, Comrade Nujoma traveled from Tanganyika to Khartoum, and from there to Accra, Ghana, where he attended the All-African People's Conference organized by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, President of Ghana, in a protest against the French atomic bomb test in the Sahara Desert. Instead of testing it in France, the French felt that it should be done in Africa, in the Sahara Desert. At the conference that was held in Accra, Ghana, Comrade Nujoma met other African nationalist leaders, such as Patrice Lumumba and Joseph Kasavumbu of the Congo, Leopoldville, now Kinshasa. President Nasser of Egypt, and Frantz Fanon of Algeria. This engagement, that's the engagement of Comrade Nujoma with other African nationalist leaders, left a lasting impression in him and informed him his Pan-African outlook. President Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana assisted the Comrade Nujoma to travel to Liberia and later to the United States. At time when the case on Southwest Africa was presented to International Court of Justice at The Hague. In April 1960, OPPO was reconstituted and transformed into Southwest Africa People's Organization, SWAPO, and that was in Windhoek. Comrade Nujoma was elected in his absence or absentia as president of SWAPO. Dear mourners, when Comrade Nujoma arrived in New York, and that was in June 1960, where he presented Namibia's petition before the Special Political and Decolonization Committee, referred to as Fourth Committee of the United Nations General Assembly, Comrade Sam Nujoma demanded, or his demand was, that Southwest Africa be independent not later than 1963. And that was the latest Nujoma said. He returned to Tanganyika in 1961, from where he and a small group of Southwest African activists developed the SWAPO into an international force. With the support from other African nationalists and the strong backing from Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. At that time, he was the Prime Minister of Tanganyika. I think I should say more about Mwalimu Nyerere. Mwalimu Nyerere asked all liberation movements in Southern Africa and Kenya. At that particular time, Kenya was not yet free. And all liberation movements, Mozambique, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Southwest Africa, to some certain extent Angola. Angola had more activities in Congo-Brazzaville, which was a little bit closer to Angola. But still, MPLA established some offices in Dar es Salaam. I'm talking about Kambarange Julius Nyerere, who did a lot. Zambians were also operating from Dar es Salaam because their country was still Northern Rhodesia, meaning that it was not yet free. At that particular point, with Nyerere offer for liberation movement to open offices, Nujoma opened SWAPO office in Dar es Salaam. They were housed in a huge building for many liberation movement occupying that building. Nujoma had a few people, Southwest Africans. They had Emile Apollos, Jacob Kuhangwa, Meme Putoshe Apollos, and Solomon Mufima was appointed the chief representative. Sam Nujoma then started organizing scholarships. I remember many of you know Idipa Mtenya. Idipa Mtenya had just arrived in Dar es Salaam when Sam Nujoma decided that 2 people should be sent back to Namibia. Idipa Mtenya raised up his hand. Sam Nujoma said, no, he is too young. He should go to school. That's when Eliandela Matale, some people would call him Matala. It's not Matala, but Matale. And I were dispatched to come to Southwest Africa by the order and the instruction of Comrade Sam Nujoma. We were accommodated by Tate Mtenya, the father of Idipa Mtenya. We were not far away from Nuyoma's residence, where we visited the Membe Kobambo and the children. I think Utoni Nujoma, who was just talking to us here, at that particular time, if I'm not mistaken, he was at the age of 10 years. In 1962, SWAPO founded its armed wing, the Southwest Africa People's Army, Liberation Army, SWALA. It's raining. Later, SWALA was renamed the People's Liberation Army of Namibia Plan. Comrade Nujoma procured the first weapons. As we are here mourning Comrade Sam Nujoma, the rain has come. Should I continue? Should I continue? Should I continue? Would they hear me?